What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. The news is coming hot and heavy, struggling to keep up. You got the Pop-Tart Bowl, Miami against Iowa State, the historic Pop-Tart Bowl. We'll be talking about that matchup, but also, is Cam Ward going to play? Made some interesting comments on social media. Damian Martinez kind of following suit a little bit. What does that look like? What's the roster going to look like when Miami takes on Iowa State in Orlando? Plus, the portal opens officially today, and all kinds of names are jumping in. Miami's already scheduled a very important defensive back visit. Of course, defensive back is Miami's primary need, along with quarterback. And we'll talk about a quarterback potential target that could be a big-time addition and a big-time fit with the University of Miami. First, I want to talk about some folks that are always big-time Anajar and Levine accident attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
Good morning, D. Good morning to everyone. Appreciate everyone for hopping in here live. As always, we've been going live here these last couple weeks, and everything's about to really heat up now, D, with the transfer portal. But excited to talk about this news at the start of the show that kind of popped up yesterday as Miami, of course, finding out that they'll be playing Iowa State in the Pop-Tart Bowl. But the Cam Ward and Damian Martinez stuff, man, that would be a real shot in the arm.
Let's start, Pete. Let's play the tweet. Pull up the tweet. It was posted on Deion Sanders' son's official Twitter. This is Deion Sanders Jr., who is the brother that handles the social media stuff. He posted a conversation involving Cam Ward and his friend Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, the other top quarterback this season. They are close. They're both Texas natives, and they are really 1 and 2, no matter how you stack it up, for the NFL draft. The two best quarterbacks in the nation. Both kind of similar situations, not in the playoff, just missed the playoff, and they are, at least now, talking like they will be playing in their bowl games, their respective bowl games. I think it's important that Shedeur is involved here and has said he wants to play because this is Cam's peer, the guy he competes against, the guy he measures himself against, at least for this year. So very interesting conversation, and he's a hilarious guy, man. Cam Ward, what a guy you want for your university. He's just a funny, smart dude, and you can tell his pride in the school. So, Pete, go ahead and play this conversation.
Who do y'all play? Them Iowa State, man. Oh, you play Iowa State? Yeah, I got to get ready for the Pop-Tart Bowl. Y'all play Iowa State? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Wait, so what you said you gonna what?
You said what?
What you said you gonna do?
You finna see the best thing that ever happened in the Pop-Tart Bowl. What's that? Them Canes, baby.
Yeah, like you said, the funny conversation there. So, I mean, look, he alluded to it. And then following that up, Damian Martinez tweeted this out. Let me grab it here real quick. Oh, excuse me. I had it replaced.
While you're looking for that, one other comment that I thought was interesting that was not in that full clip was Cam was teasing Shedeur about their respective offensive lines. And he said, I've got those trench babies. You don't have trench babies like that. I'm not going to be touched. Basically, really bragging about his offensive line. Hopefully, he's sending a similar message to portal quarterbacks that Miami might be interested in. I think he is, because it's the truth. Also, from Cam Ward, that was interesting. He said he wanted to throw like Pat Mahomes and Baker Mayfield did in that legendary game when they went against each other. Texas Tech for Mahomes, Oklahoma for Baker Mayfield. They set all kinds of records. I think they had 12 total touchdowns, 1,200 total yards between them. So Cam said he wanted a game like that. Obviously, I don't know how much faith he has in his defense to allude to that game, but I thought that was interesting. And there you see.
So here's the Martinez tweet. He says, another chance to go 1-0 with my guys, the 28th, ready to hit the field again. I did some digging, talked to some people, who would understand the situation this morning. And I can confirm that Martinez does intend to play. That's the plan right now, at least. Of course, look, there's a few weeks before the game here. I'm sure there will be people that are telling them, don't do it. Don't risk getting hurt in that game. But that's the plan as of right now. Normally in a situation like this, these guys will be setting up their plans for the training and stuff like that for what they're going to do as soon as, the season's over. And Martinez, also the plan is still, as of now, from what I understand, for him to still, go to the next level and enter the draft after this, right? So that's the plan. I don't know that if Cam Ward hadn't kind of pledged to this, that Martinez would still be playing. So I think that could show you the ripple effect that it has. There's a few more guys who would be in the situation. Restrepo, Jalen Rivers, Arroyo. These are guys who are going to the Senior Bowl, so they'll have decisions to make. But the tone has been set by what it looks like is the plan for, a couple of these guys already publicly coming out and saying it. Again, like I said, talked to some people this morning, and that is the plan right now. So will be interesting to see the effect that it has on some of these other decisions moving forward, number one. And number two, it's nice to go into, if it does happen, would be really, really cool to go into these next couple weeks with a good energy surrounding the bowl practices. And I get the sense that these guys weren't prepared for that Syracuse game to be their last time suiting up. So
inside info right there from Pete from the NFL agent world. Remember, like and subscribe to this podcast. If you are new here, we appreciate your support. The subscriptions have been going crazy lately, but we've been coming every single day on this show live for pretty much since March. I know we have not missed a single day. We've gone on here every single day to give you the latest on recruiting, portal, inside information, the team. And we're talking a ton about that Pop-Tart Bowl, as Cam likes to say, throughout the winter here in December. But portal is really what's hot and heavy right now. It is exploding. The portal just opened today. I'm seeing names pop across the timeline every second as we are here live, but wanted to focus on some critical names, both going out from the Canes standpoint and also potentially coming in, or at least that makes sense at need positions, such as quarterback, such as defensive back. So Pete, let's start with some guys you're familiar with. I know you've been watching since high school, as have I. The Washington brothers, Robbie and Bobby, hopping into the portal, move that's been rumored forever. These guys have kind of threatened to do this a few times, family members. So not a huge surprise that you lose these two defenders. Unfortunate in terms of both these guys are super talented, extremely fast, aggressive, have a lot of attributes we like on defense. Ever since we signed them, I said, listen, if these guys can just trust the process, stick with it, they could be NFL players. But they're volatile personalities, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that, they're ready to rock. They want to play. So I'm not surprised that guys with this kind of energy level they're not going to be patient, waiting and doing their thing. They want to go out there and show their talents. And I think if the right team picks them up and they develop NFL potential for both of them, with Robbie, it'll be, does he stay at corner where Miami moved him, or does he play receiver? I know he's been saying that he's a receiver in his tweets, so that might indicate what he's thinking. He might want to play receiver.
He posted videos yesterday from practice on his Instagram at receiver, getting open and stuff like that. So I think he views himself as a receiver.
Yeah, I think he should be playing corner, but it's his life. He knows what he wants to do. He'll go out there and try his hand at receiver. And then Bobby Washington, super athletic linebacker, as athletic as it gets. Of course, linebacker, there's a lot to it. It's not just being the best athlete, but he is an extremely good athlete. He's long, rangy, and aggressive. So he has a chance. I think to Arthur Brown, somebody who didn't quite click at Miami, goes to Kansas State, ends up being a really good player, second-round pick. That'd be the best case scenario for someone like a Bobby Washington as he develops. Real quick, Pete, pull up the transfer portal board, if you don't mind, on canesinsight.com. Canesinsight.com. Someone asked, hey, Mauricio, my boy, how many posts in Canes Insight? 7 million posts and counting. Appreciate you, Canes Cat. 7 million posts and counting. The transfer portal board, this is the forum, a message board. It's like Reddit, if you're not familiar with how this whole thing works. It is a free Canes community, canesinsight.com. There you go. We got different boards for football, recruiting, basketball, baseball, you name it. But the transfer portal board, as you can see here, is on fire, and it will be throughout the portal period. The second someone puts his name in the portal, you will see it in the appropriate thread, and there will be discussion right away. A lot of insight from different people from different areas. They might say, hey, I saw this guy play X, Y, Z. This is just a buzz and a hub of discussion right here on the transfer portal board on canesinsight.com. So definitely check that out. But
just a couple things I would say on the Washington brothers. D, I agree with you. I'm been a big fan of theirs since high school. I give Robbie a lot of credit for I mean, it shows you how much he wanted to play. That midseason, he made that switch to corner. And, it had to be tough for him looking at the issues in the secondary. And he says, man, I made this switch to corner. I feel like I can help this team, and I'm still not getting the burn. So you do understand that, where they're coming from with their decision. I think Bobby is a guy who, unfortunately, the staff, I just feel like didn't necessarily trust him to make sound, to make the right play every play. But like with the speed and the physicality he brings to the table, to me, a guy like that, you need to let him take his lumps. You need to let him have plays and have his mistakes, because once you kind of work that out of his system and he gets more reps and snaps, like his ceiling is so high, but you're not going to learn by sitting on the bench. So that's what, again, I can't blame either of them for their decision, and wish them the best moving forward.
Yeah, I think they should go somewhere where they play. Like you said, don't go to the biggest school, because they do have flaws that are going to keep them from playing, I think, earlier at some of the bigger schools. But you put them at a smaller school where they get reps, they can figure it out on the field with their athleticism and their aggression. So, good luck to those guys as they move on to critical positions. So Miami really needs to do its work here in the portal to replace. They were not the only guys out the door in the transfer portal, nor were they the only two guys with tremendous speed to lead the portal, as NCAA football video game favorite Chris Johnson Jr., one of the fastest players in the country, goes in the portal. This is the Dillard running back. Miami signed in the class of 23 with Mark Fletcher out of Fort Lauderdale. Never really got going as far as a runner. There's some fluidity issues, the balance issues, really more of a straight line guy at this point at the running back position. Miami tried to get him involved in the passing game towards the beginning of the year. Didn't quite connect. Maybe they could have done more there, but number one offense in the country, I think that success didn't meant that they weren't going out of their way to feature Chris Johnson. They're the number one offense in the country. There's no spot above number one, but he is someone with a lot of talent. Kick return, I think he's still growing there, was okay. As you look statistically, he's top 30 kick returner in the country, never really broke one. Seemed like he could do more. Still figuring out the timing. I always said with these super fast guys, this is a 10, 200 meter guy. It takes him some time. Chris Johnson, the one that went to Tennessee Titans from East Carolina, he didn't blow up till his senior year. Sometimes these fast guys take some time. He's someone that if he goes to the right system, again, I would go to a smaller program that's going to play him more and utilize him more and build around him more. I think he can really, really make an impact. And, maybe by his senior year, he's looked at as a true difference-making player, because he does have that kind of speed.
Yeah, unfortunate it couldn't work out for him here. I've seen a lot of people that have been saying, well, he should have switched to receiver. I don't know if that skill set's in his bag necessarily, D. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I think he can be utilized, in a certain type of way. I agree, though. Who were you taking snaps away from at running back for Miami?
Yeah, when you see these guys transfer on the offensive side of the ball, context is the number one offense in the nation by a margin, right? It wasn't even just like slightly the number one offense. It was by far the number one offense. So that one, I'm not, not concerned. Now, when you see guys on the defense transferring, you say, were these guys just not good enough to play in a bad D, or were the guys that should have played? And that's always a fair question. You don't really know until they go elsewhere, right? So
we'll find out.
So that is something to take a look at. Another guy I should mention here, Miles Muyang, defensive back, cornerback, out of the Chicago area, former walk-on, worked his way into the two deep. I was there all fall, all August. He played a bunch, had a pick against USF. Really great moment for him. He's going to have FBS interest. Tough player, good size. Again, played very, very well in camp to be in the two deep all throughout camp at corner. Lots more playing time. So you understand the decision. Hope the best for him. Big Canes fan. Shout out to his dad, Troy, who I've watched practice with a bunch and is a really, really good guy. This is a smart kid, tough kid, guy that's got a lot of future ahead of him. And I hope he goes to a place where he can play and show his talent. Again, a walk-on who's worked his way up to be a legitimate FBS player, and looking forward to him doing his thing at his next stop.
And the guy I know was very well respected on the team. Guys looked at him as a real player, a dude that they thought could play, and didn't have that walk-on stigma. so to speak. So best of luck to him moving forward as well.
So listen, we started with the names going
The
out.
Chicago plug, Johnny Lagoon called him.
There you go. So those are the names going out. Let's focus on the names potentially coming in. They're at least in the water. You got to fish them out. But names that you could potentially bring in to the Miami Hurricanes. And I'm going to go out of order here, Pete, because I know we want to talk about the quarterback. But first, I want to talk about the defensive back, the cornerback, who has entered the portal from UCF. That is Chasen Robinson. Gabby Arrudia, 247, reported that today, it is Monday, December 9th, Chasen Robinson will be taking a visit to the University of Miami. This is a defensive back, a cornerback from UCF. He went to Sanford Seminole, former teammate of Max Buchanan, Miami's offensive line commit this year at Sanford Seminole. This is the Orlando area, goes not very far to UCF, then enters the portal. 16 tackles, blocked the kick. Somebody who, 3-star prospect, not huge interest, but was able to earn a starting job as a true freshman at UCF, Power 4 football. Not a great season for UCF, but this is a Power 4 level. Starts 4 out of the last 5 games, really comes on late. Was one of the highest graded true freshmen in the country in week 14. So you saw the progression where his best football was at the end as a true freshman. Looking at him in high school, let's help Seminole get to a 10-3 record, made it to regionals, blocked multiple kicks, was a receiver, switched to the defensive side of the ball. Here you see his highlights at UCF. You see some physicality. Watching a little bit of him, I tuned into a little bit of the game against Utah. You try to watch some of what he does. It's hard watching corners without the coach's film, so you could really see how they do. There you see him blocking a kick. But to me, I see a guy with a lot of length. There you see it right there. A lot of length. Better at the catch point than what we've had recently, which is something you need. You saw Syracuse. They were just big manning us. You do need, there you go, against Elijah Badger. You need that size. Or who was number 17? Against a Gator guy. There's Jalen Knoll, NFL prospect for Iowa, running.
I think
with him.
17 was DK, the kid.
That's
from,
right. DK from Wisconsin. That's right. There you see him hitting DJ Lagway. So you need length here in the defensive backfield. You need players. To get a guy with 3 years of eligibility left, that would certainly improve your future, assuming he can play here.
It's like getting Daryl Porter a few years ago, and you had him for 3 years.
Yeah, and you need. It's not going to be a one player fix here in the defensive backfield. You need multiple guys, and I think someone like this, length to me is a key priority. This is a 6'1", 180-pound player. He looks it on film. Doesn't seem to me the most fluid guys. You pull up his high school clips, Pete.
Yeah, I have him here.
Yeah, doesn't seem to me like the most fluid guy.
But he's physical in coverage. I was watching some of these clips before, and obviously, does a good job there, getting through the block. But he's physical in coverage. A lot of times when we talk about physicality, D, we're talking about tackling. But like, you'll see it here in some of these clips. He's not afraid to get his hands like right there. Gets his hands on the receivers.
Yep. No, he looks wiry, strong, particularly when he watches UCF stuff.
Boom, again, gets his hands on within the first 5 yards, and it really makes it tough for the receivers. Not doesn't make it easy for these guys to get open. Yeah, and you look at him against you look at Cuse. They were just bodying our guys, and I think the strength of someone like this would help in that range. Honestly, if you look at a Jadis Richard, who tore his ACL late in the season, you don't know if he's going to be ready for the season. Also, he had his ups and downs. This is a guy that can play some of that role for you and hopefully improve on the production you got if you are to bring him in. I know Cooper Patania, who is the head of the portal, 4247, was actually a recruiting director for Mario in Oregon, was a recruiting director, I believe, when Washington signed those great recruiting classes with all those first-round picks that helped him get to the final. This is a guy who knows what he's talking about. He tweeted, Pete, and I put the tweet up here in the rundown. He tweeted that he watched this guy and was impressed. Andrew Ivins, who's the 247 guy in that region, covers high school but lives in that area, sort of flagged him for 247's portal people, and they liked what they saw. Again, if you don't have the coach's film on these cornerbacks, to me, I take opinions with a grain of salt because you got to see every single rep, how they're covering. The TV copy is only going to tell you so much about corners, but someone like Cooper, who has the coach's film on that in his role as 247 portal guy, I respect his opinion. So when he's saying he was a fan of this guy, I listen. The length speaks for itself. I do see more twitch than like a Jadis Richard, and the multiple years of eligibility helps. So
He's visiting today. I know Florida State's also trying to get in this mix. UCF does not want to lose this player, which is something to keep in mind with the portal. Sometimes they're in the portal for a reason. Here, this is a guy who they want to keep. Kyle's asking how many games this guy started at UCF. True freshman, started 4 of the last 5 games. So he's a true freshman that earned the starting spot. Somebody to keep an eye on here. Really like the idea of being aggressive at this position. I don't know as much about this player, but the idea of attacking it early and attacking it often, I think is music to the ears of any Canes fan who watched that Syracuse game or watched Miami all season. So that's a name to keep an eye on at the corner position. There will be more, and as they come into the portal, and as we dig in, we will give you more information as it comes. But Pete, Beacon Adjusters, prospect of the day. I got to focus on the main position there is, which is the quarterback position. All eyes on quarterback. Cam Ward out the door. Hopefully one more game left in him, but he is the face of the franchise. You need to replace possibly the best player in the country. So you want to aim high. And right now, the number 1 ranked portal player in the country as far as the quarterback position, Darian Mensah, redshirt freshman out of Tulane. What a story with this kid. I want to highlight him because he's someone that, as he started blowing up, I was watching Tulane games, knowing that Cam Ward was going to leave, see what we had here with Mensah. Crazy story. He was a low 3-star prospect. He's from San Luis Obispo in California. That's the Central Coast. That's right in between Los Angeles to the south, San Francisco to the north, right there in the middle. He went to St. Joseph High School. Not a big name player in high school. Played basketball, played football. Really went under the radar. Goes to Tulane. Redshirts his freshman year. Goes into the season as like a third-team, scout team type player. Wins the starting job, and then completely blows up. Look at the stats. You're talking about over 2,200 yards, 2,700 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, ran for 132, 1 touchdown. But the big thing when you talk about Mensah is his efficiency. This was one of the leaders nationally in yards per attempt. Yards per attempt is my favorite passing stat because it not only takes into account completion percentage, but also how far those completions going. 9.5 for Mensah. Just to put that in context, 3rd in the nation, tied with Cam Ward, right behind Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, Curtis Rourke of Indiana, 6th nationally in passer rating. And if you look at the names behind or ahead of him, Rourke, Dart, Will Howard, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. This is the company he's keeping as far as the efficiency stats. Tulane finished the season 9-4. They lost the AAC championship game to Army. Army was the better team. Watch that game. Mensah was 15-25 passing, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 INT in that game. And Pete, when I watch his highlights and when I watch his games, the thing that jumps out to me, smooth operator, very balanced, everything clean. Easy to imagine this guy with Miami's running game and offensive line, giving him time and giving him that play action threat.
Yeah, I love his movement in and out of the pocket. I mean, he's one of those guys sort of like, again, we're gonna do a lot of Cam Ward comparisons just because we saw what we saw this year, right? And he's a guy who does a really good job of keeping his head down, his eyes downfield, when he's moving out of the pocket, and doesn't look like he's trying to do too much either, right? I mean, obviously he does what he can do to extend the play, but he's not too crazy with it. I agree with you. Everything looks easy. Doesn't look like he has to really do too much to get that thing downfield. So with the right pieces around him, the numbers could be pretty impressive. Didn't have a great game against Army here a few days ago in their conference championship game, but impressive in terms of winning the games that they did this year in his first real action. And then to me, you get the multiple years out of him. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion, that you'd get with him is it's not a 1-year rental.
100%, 3 years of eligibility. And again, downfield passing. When you get these guys from G5, to me, the concern is, are they just thinking dunk guys? Do they really have the juice to attack you downfield? This guy does. That's really his bread and butter. And when you add, Miami brings 4 starters back on the offensive line, big guys that can protect. Miami pretty much brings back the majority of its run game. You do lose Damian Martinez, but you have Mark Fletcher, you have Jordan Lyle, you add Gerard Pringle. You still got Noah Cooper, Matt McCoy, Markel Bell. Those are road grader type, big 320-plus type offensive linemen. The running game should be there. Riley Williams, a big blocker as well, on top of his receiving ability. So, you got Elijah Lofton, a fullback again. So this run game, to me, should be just as good as it was last year, if not better, barring major injuries. Plug Mensah into that. Let him throw downfield to guys like Isaiah Horton, JoJo Trader, Nikar, and whoever Miami brings into the portal. I think this guy is a great fit. If you're asking me the names that jump out to me early in the portal, guys I've talked about before, John Mateer from Washington State, who's really that dual threat. Jackson Arnold, another dual threat runner thrower from Oklahoma, more of an upside play, but I like him a lot. I'd put Mensah right in there with those guys. And of the three, he is by far, to me, the best pocket passer of the three. The worst runner of the three, but the most traditional quarterback pocket passer. I think if you're talking about what you need to.
But he looks athletic, though, at the same time, D.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look like a goof at all. He doesn't look stiff. Everything is smooth. He played basketball in high school. He did run a little bit this year. Again, I mentioned some guys are negative in the rushing category. He's positive with 132 yards and a touchdown. But I don't think he's like a Cam Ward in terms of Cam Ward to me is a passing quarterback, but a run-around passing quarterback. Mateer and Arnold are actual dual threat quarterbacks. They're threats to run. They're physically strong. They know how to absorb contact. I would put Mensah as a true pocket quarterback. When you just add more similar to like a Shedeur Sanders, if we're talking about the quarterbacks around here in this season, I'd say he's much more similar to a Shedeur in the way he operates.
D, I know we haven't really been taking too many comments or questions, but 818 Cali Kane says any G5 player. He kind of is questioning, says jumping from G5 to P4 is a big jump. Miami hasn't had any success with G5 guys producing when they come to us.
Look, this guy's a big-time player. You saw the names he was up there with in the passing category. I'll just point out one, which is Curtis Rourke, who is from Canada, played at Ohio, then goes to Indiana, and we know what he's done on the field. Indiana's in the college football playoff, the best season they ever had. He's got 27 yards passing, 4 interceptions, almost 10 yards per attempt, and the 181 passer rating. So that's an example of what you're looking at here. I think the difference is Indiana didn't have the talent around him that Mensah's going to have. So I think he has the ability to plug right in at that position and do his thing as a G5 player. I mean, look, you look at the NFL, I see some G5 quarterbacks doing pretty good, namely Josh Allen. You never know with these guys. I'm not saying this he's that, but when you look at a Rourke, that's, to me, the more the model you'll follow as far as projecting a guy up.
Yeah, and some people are Elrico88 says Poffenbarger had big numbers but wasn't ready for the big level, and that's what he was responding to 818 Cali Kane's comment. But look, Albany is way different level than where Tulane is playing.
Jorge Mayorga says, if everyone here just gives $5 to Canes Connection, we can get those dogs and more. Not a bad idea. canesconnection.com/CIS. Let's get this portal budget up and running. It's already strong, but every dollar you have is a dollar to compete against the other teams. So if you're spending money on Canes football, why not support the cause? canesconnection.com/CIS. The link is in our bio, our description, and that it's all over our website. That'll get you to canesconnection.com/CIS. I'm going to have a portal update straight from the sources. I'm hoping next couple days on canesconnection.com/CIS. So go ahead, sign up, be part of the cause, and let's get this thing rolling. So appreciate that comment, Jorge. And also got to talk about, before we get into some more stuff, want to talk about my friends at Beacon Adjusters. If your property has been affected by Hurricane Helene or Hurricane Milton, Beacon Adjusters Group is here to help. With years of experience handling storm-related damage, we work tirelessly to ensure you get the compensation you deserve. From assessment to settlement, our team of trusted experts will guide you every step of the way. Don't face the aftermath alone. Let Beacon Adjusters Group restore your peace of mind. Call us today, 954-466-4224. This is not just Florida. This is everywhere. 954-466-4224. So we got a lot of questions here and just a lot of activity in general, man. This is a busy day.
Almost 1,500 on live right now. So appreciate everyone. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Twitter, head over to YouTube. Find us on Official Canes Insight. We go live pretty much every day this time of year. And then we go do our Canes Insight daily show pretty much 365 days a year. Well, not weekends, but we we're active whenever there's something big that happens recruiting wise, instant reactions, all that good stuff. So
not to mention Canes basketball, unfortunately.
Yeah, very unfortunately.
Thought we might have had one here, but it didn't work out this weekend.
So D, a couple more guys you want to talk about, a couple defensive backs.
Yeah, let's go through them here. It's just some big defensive backs in the portal, Pete. This is a list that's going to keep on expanding. But one name I wanted to highlight, Miami's been reported to be in contact with Julian Humphrey from Georgia. This is really a tools play. Big corner, 6'1", 195, runs 10.5 in the 100. So the speed and the physicality is just off the charts. Kind of like Jason Robinson, just more so, more size, more speed. Obviously plays for Georgia, not UCF, but super fluid. Or sorry, not super fluid, but super fast. Good at the catch point because of his strength. He's somebody that when you watch him, he definitely flashed. He was a starter for 10 games on this strong Georgia defense, but by the end of the year, he'd fallen out of favor. He was a redshirt junior. He had 10 tackles, 4 breakups on the year. He is the number 1 cornerback in the portal, according to 247, but he's someone who's trending the way you don't love. Playing time dipped at the end of the year. Week 12, he got benched for Daniel Harris from Miami Gulliver, somebody that we know from down here. He flirted with a transfer in 2023, potentially moving it closer to home. So you watch Texas A&M, Baylor, teams like that. But Miami has been linked to Julian Humphrey, along with Oregon, Alabama, and the Texas schools, pretty good schools to be in company with. He had a low light here. We got beat by Ryan Williams for that touchdown where Ryan Williams did the ballerina spin in that classic Georgia-Alabama game. But he also has some good stuff on his tape as well. And we just don't have anybody close to the tool set of Humphrey in terms of the size and that 10.5 speed. We have some guys that have size that don't run like that. And I don't even think we have guys that can run like that, period, much less guys with 6'1", 195 size. So Humphrey's a guy that maybe you catch him on a low, rehabilitate him a bit, and he blows up in your system. Georgia, there's a lot of competition, guys right under and pushing a play, so there's no time for slip up. Miami maybe has a little more grace to play freer if that is the move.
Well, and that experience against the Alabamas and the Texases of the world, I mean, that's, we were just talking about a guy, Chasen Jackson, looks like a really solid prospect, but he's not facing that same sort of competition week in, week out as he was here at Georgia. So that, to me, that's what you're betting on that, like you said, D, and it's worked out before for Miami. Tyreek Stevenson a couple of years ago. So,
yeah, and if I'm comparing to Stevenson, I'd say Stevenson was probably a better player for Georgia when we got him. Georgia fought to keep Stevenson,
but he was a nickel for them. He wasn't an outside corner, which he wanted to be at Miami.
Right? They did not believe he could be an outside corner.
That was the issue.
Miami did. He played corner for us, gets drafted second round, and now he's a corner for the Chicago Bears and had some really, really good moments. A couple low lights on a Hail Mary particularly, but in general, considered a building block player for the Chicago Bears.
He was in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year last year, and he won Defensive Rookie of the Week multiple times last year for the Bears. So,
and look, sometimes these highly rated, highly talented corners do not work out at their initial spot. You look at Amos from Ole Miss, Alabama transfer. He's probably one of the best corners in the ACC this year, period. So that happens. You do have guys that leave these programs and end up finding more success elsewhere and fulfilling their promise that you believe they had out of high school and early in their career. So interesting kind of reclamation project. And I'll say reclamation might be too strong a term because this guy started 10 games this season. But getting someone sort of on the down, picking him up. He's from Houston, Texas, like I said. Rumors that he might want to go closer to home. But Steve Wilfong from On3 reports Miami in the mix with Texas, Texas A&M, Oregon, and Alabama. Going to the whole other side of the spectrum here, we go from Georgia all the way to North Dakota for North Dakota State safety Cole Wisniewski. This is one of the most interesting players I've seen. Enters the portal. Pete, I know you have some familiarity with him from his NFL buzz, right? That you've heard from the
agent side. I remember his name a few years back was kind of floating around some draft media circles, stuff like that. I always follow the small school stuff pretty closely, and he was a name that was popping up again. Seems like he missed this last year with an injury, so kind of needs to rebuild that stock a little bit. But talk about a guy with a ton of experience, productivity, interesting, physical, build and what his role would be, something that would need to be kind of looked at, but super productive player, D.
Yeah, the film is so interesting on this kid because just the dimensions are so unusual. This is sort of like almost like a James Williams, right, from the Canes, where you're trying to figure out his position, except he was much more productive, different level of competition, obviously great program, but different level of competition. Started as a linebacker, actually, and then became a safety, an unusual
that's
direction.
Not, they usually go the other way there.
Right. Elite in 2023 at that FCS level, 9 picks, All-America, missed this year with a foot injury. Coach wasn't happy when he went in the portal, especially right before they get into that FCS playoff. He kind of said basically like, look, not good riddance, but I'm not talking about him. I'm going to focus on the guys that are here. There seems to be some bad blood with his departure, which is interesting because he had not played. And I guess there was tension about whether he would play or whether he wouldn't. Some people said he might have been cleared to play for the playoffs.
Maybe doesn't trust the medical, not to jump too into it, but maybe doesn't trust the medical situation over there. I don't know.
Yep. He's got 5.5 tackles for loss, 194 tackles, a sack, 15 pass breakups, 8 INTs, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recoveries from Sparta, Wisconsin. He was the number 1 graded safety by PFF last year at all levels last year for PFF. So interesting player. There have been rumors that he'd go to Kansas State. There's been some links there. Iowa, the places you'd expect for a 6'4", 220 white safety from North Dakota. But there's no reason why Miami can't get involved here, particularly when you look at Miami. Miami really needs guys that can tackle, that are physical, that are experienced, and that can solidify what you're doing. Yes, you'd love to have a safety that can cover in the slot, that can range like no one's business, that runs a 4-4, 4-3, like a Malachi Starks. Everybody wants that. But to me, if you're making compromises, I want to err on the side of tackling and IQ and experience when it comes to the safety position. We had smart guys playing safety this year. It's not like, Mish Powell and Jaden Harris are smart human beings. And Mish Powell certainly on the football field, high IQ. Harris, for whatever reason, just didn't seem to be thinking quick on the field. And that translated to his play being slower than what he runs in the 40. Obviously, a disappointing season for him. Mish Powell, more of a cover guy. The tackling is not what you get from some of the guys that we're talking about here. So I think that's an area where Miami could really improve. I had a great hypothetical raised in one of my group chats, Pete. And guys, let me know if you guys agree with this on the comments. By the way, we got almost 1,700 people live right now. Like and subscribe. We're on daily, talking Canes, portal, recruiting, coaching, you name it. We are all over it. Like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody on. Join the family here. Join the community. We got so many great Canes fans that join us every day, give great opinions. And one question posed to me, and I want you guys in the chat to answer this one, or in the comments if you're seeing this on social or whatever. Does Miami make it to the playoffs, win the ACC, if their starting safeties this year are Cam Kitchens and James Williams? For all the ups and downs that they had last year, their tackling, their playmaking, their intensity is very much missed on this year's roster. So I don't know what you guys think. For me personally, there's always what ifs. What if Kaya came back in 2017? What would have happened? I think this is one of those what ifs, because I actually do believe if you had a senior Cam Kitchens and a senior James Williams, this team does win the ACC. But unfortunately, that was not the case. Let us know in the comments what you think. But look at it, by the way. I think we're getting some answers here. A lot of yeses from the folks in the chat. So switching gears to what I think is probably the best safety in the portal, maybe the best defensive player we've seen in the portal, guy with 2 years of eligibility, a complete stud and impact player. And I'm probably butchering his name, Dylan Thieneman from Purdue, rising junior, 6 foot, 207 pounds, 210 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 6 interceptions, 2 first fumbles during his first 2 seasons at the college level. He was the 247 True Freshman of the Year nationally in 2023. That year, 106 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 6 INTs, and 2 forced fumbles. Is a 3-star from Westfield. Tackler, really, really nice open field tackler, just athletic, tough as nails. But I just like his coordination and thump when he tackles. He's not just, a strong guy. He's someone that can move and that can get you down and that can bring that thump. There you see him right here, tone setter. He can also take the ball away. Plays extremely fast. I don't know what he times, but he's full speed all the time. High IQ guy. This is, to me, the type of guy that you overpay for. He just changes the whole identity of your defense. He can get guys lined up. He can make plays on the ball. He can tackle. He's experienced in the Big Ten. He's plug and play. To me, this, again, no hesitation. Pay him what he wants. The concern is Indiana. You got to think Notre Dame, who's playing better defense than Miami right now, wants to grab this guy, and other teams like that in that area. To come down to Miami from Indiana, it's an unusual move. It's happened. Brock Schott, Indiana stud, comes down to Miami, turns down Notre Dame to be a tight end here. But it's not something that you can count on. So I don't know where we're at with this player, but if it comes down to money and allocation of resources, I'm using big bullets, let's say, to land this player, because I think he is that much of a difference maker.
Where can he sign, man? Like I'm all in for Tiedemann. He's a ball hawk, and the physicality. I mean, he would clean things up on the back end. You talk about a potential safety duo of him and Zaquan Patterson, D, and a lot of the physicality issues would be solved, I think.
100%. Look, we are live, so a lot of stuff is happening in the portal right now. I want to give you guys the absolute latest, because I've been tracking it while this is happening. It's very hard because things are flying every 2 seconds when it comes to the transfer portal. But let me just update you on some things that to me are relevant to the Miami Hurricanes. You got Ashton Daniels from Stanford leaving the ACC, that's an opponent Miami plays next year, by the way. Stanford at home, so they lose their starting quarterback to the portal. He's been crystal balled by Nakos and Wiltfong to Auburn. I think that fit makes sense. He can help them win this year in that system with Hugh Freeze. Plus, he's a bridge quarterback to Deuce Knight. They're super talented lefty that they signed this season. So keep an eye on that move, because if Auburn's out of the quarterback market, they were one of the biggest teams on the quarterback market. That takes away another competitor for some of the teams or some of the quarterbacks that Miami's going to be going after. Hurricane George here. On the look at man, my man. He increases his Canes Connection donation levels. The new age of college football. He's supporting the team in Orlando. My guy, I'll be out there. George, hit me up on social. Appreciate your support. Let's get together in Orlando. I'll be out there with everybody. Again, he's supporting Canes Connection up to his donation level. Please do the same if you have the ability. It's going to make a difference in the team you see on the field. You saw it last year with Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, Simeon Barrow. It makes a huge, huge difference on the team you see. All the fun we had this year. CanesConnection.com/CIS. Link is in the description. But just going through some more portal stuff. There you got the Ashton Daniels crystal ball. Some other things that caught my attention. Eric Singleton, wide receiver from Georgia Tech, goes in the portal. I talked to some people in Miami, thought this guy, aside from Restrepo, might have been the best receiver in the ACC. So that's a big-time player going into the portal. Good news that he's leaving Georgia Tech, because that's an ACC team. I wish it happened when we played Georgia Tech, but it's going to weaken an ACC rival. Question is, does he go to a Miami opponent? Florida Gators, I know, have been rumored to sniff around there. They got the young quarterback. They're spending money. You would hate to see him go to Florida, because we play Florida next year. So that's one to watch with him. Could he come to the Miami Hurricanes? That's a possibility too. He saw that we throw the ball a lot. We're not trying to run the ball like Georgia Tech did. So that's a possibility. I know there's huge fans in the building of Eric Singleton for the University of Miami, but that's one to watch. You like these guys going off the schedule, out of the conference, because this is a true impact player who's going to have huge, huge interest across the country. Eric Singleton, Georgia Tech, jumps in the portal. Another name that I'm going to be doing some digging on, Rayon Strider. And by the way, Singleton's from Atlanta, Georgia. Always important to keep an eye on the where these guys are from when they jump in the portal, because that can often dictate the direction they go. Not always. Miami got Simeon Barrow, Cam Ward, Mish Powell from all over the country, Damian Martinez, but it often does. Here's one for you. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Miami, Ohio, standout sophomore cornerback Rayon Strader has entered the portal. He's a name that was mentioned to me a couple, not from a Miami employee, but from someone around the program. As a name to keep an eye on. Freshman All-America last year, number 1 nationally in passes defended this year with 20. Just crazy number. 2 INTs, 18 pass breakups. Again, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Miami, Ohio, standout jumps in the portal. I can definitely see Miami taking a look there at a Rayon Strader who jumped in the portal as we were recording this show, up to 1,800 on the live. Like and subscribe. Appreciate all of you for supporting. But, that's something to keep an eye on as a potential fit for Miami Hurricanes. We need corners, as many as we can get. But there's a distinction. You also want to make sure that you're not spending, too much money on multiple okay players where you don't have the opportunity to get a superstar player. To me, I'm looking more at the superstar level of player as opposed to just getting a ton of okay guys. You need multiple guys at defensive back, but just make sure you have enough money to win the bidding wars at this position. You can't win a bidding war at every single position, but at quarterback and defensive back, I think Miami wants to win some of those battles.
You said he's from Pennsylvania. He's from Pittsburgh.
That's what I read. Yeah.
His recent follows are Penn State and Pitt football accounts. So I don't know. It looks like an early battle brewing there.
And look, that's what's going to happen, but that doesn't mean you can't win those battles. Simeon Barrow from the South, and LSU had big interest in him. He comes to Miami, big recruiting win there for the Miami Hurricanes, first team All ACC. Cam Ward, you didn't have to battle Texas, but you had to get him all the way over here. Ended up winning that battle. So it doesn't always tell you the story, but it's something to keep an eye on as well. Also, Gabby Rudia is talking about CJ Daniels. And Gabby's as good as it gets. He's talking about CJ Daniels, a name that I know Miami had significant interest in last time he was in the portal. This is a Liberty wide receiver transferred to LSU, was a pretty productive player for LSU, originally from Georgia, Parkview High School, Lilburn, which I think we recruited somebody from there this year. I'll have to look who it was. But CJ Daniels, wide receiver from LSU. Again, so this was a Miami target last year in the portal from Liberty. They wanted to add him, ended up getting Sam Brown. Didn't have a huge year for LSU, 480 yards, 0 touchdowns, was super productive at Liberty, but an experienced guy, somebody who can give you reps as part of a rotation. I don't see him being a superstar here if you were to land a CJ Daniels, but you put him with Horton, you put him with Trader, you put him with Nykar, he can be productive.
Does it worry you just in general, kind of like, and this is not a Miami exclusive problem, but you understand there's outside interest in Shannon Dawson and, potentially for a head coaching job. The Southern Miss job just got filled, which was a job that he had been linked to. But in terms of Miami and the portal and looking at a quarterback, does the timing of the fact that he may not be here next year and you're trying to recruit a guy and maybe you're in the middle of a recruitment and he ends up taking a job somewhere else, does that timeline worry you? Again, this is not a problem that only Miami has to deal with. Other schools are going through it, but just how Miami's uniquely set up here right now.
Yeah, you got to be honest the whole time. I would say with the transfer portal quarterbacks, you're really selling that offensive line first and foremost. I think you're going to tell them if you did lose Dawson, you'd keep that type of offense, which I think is the truth. That's what you want to do. I don't think you're going back after having this kind of season with so many successful games. You had the best offense in the country. By the way, appreciate you, Matthew. Hit that like button and subscribe. I don't think you're going to change the offense, whether Dawson stays or goes. But I think you're honest the whole time when you're recruiting the player, and the offensive line is really the linchpin of what you're selling. That's what Cam Ward will be telling these quarterbacks when they start dealing with Miami is, I played behind, in my mind, the best offensive line in the country and was able to run the ball with tremendous success and have all day to throw. That's what he heard him on that video with Shedeur Sanders. He's talking about that all the time. So it's something he truly believes, and that's something that is there in Miami. I think that's what you sell. But with Dawson, you've got to be honest because you can't say for sure this guy's going to be there. The hard part with receivers is not having the quarterback more so than the coordinator, I think. Is when you don't have the quarterback in place, it's hard to get the receivers. You saw that with Cam Ward last year. You really weren't in play for portal wide receivers before Cam Ward committed. Cam Ward commits at the very end of the winter cycle. End up going back to it in the summer. It was sort of a choice between Elijah Badger or Sam Brown. Ended up going with Sam Brown. But that was later in the cycle in the summer. So after spring practice. So if you want to hit somebody in the winter cycle, you got to get a quarterback in place first. But the good news is I see this as a buyer's market at wide receiver. You already saw Eric Rivers from FIU enter, CJ Daniels, who we talked about, Gabby mentioning is a potential option there. KJ Concepcion's in the mix. Eric Singleton just jumped in. These guys aren't all going to be in the mix for the Miami Hurricanes, but if you need a receiver, you're after one of these guys. So the more guys are in the mix, the more guys taking up spots, taking up cap room, right? And allowing you to get somebody that can help you a wide receiver. I really think when it comes to wide receiver, Miami needs to continue to lean on JoJo Trader and Nye Carr. You brought these guys in. They were not cheap. They're top 100 players. Their peers in that high school recruiting class are making plays all over the place, including the college football playoff. You see Ryan Wingo. You see Jeremiah Smith. Ryan Williams didn't make the playoff, but you know what he can do. Guys like that making plays, Cam Coleman all over the country. JoJo Trader and Nye Carr were in that mix with this great wide receiver class. You'd like to see those two get more action next year. I saw them in practice make all kinds of plays. They were blocked by experienced players ahead of them that were playing well. So I think those guys get their opportunity. So you don't want to get too many receivers that those guys continue to get knocked down. Plus you have Isaiah Horton, who had a really good year and is actually capable of more than he showed. Look, number one offense in the country. I'm not complaining about how many targets Isaiah Horton got, but he can do more downfield. I saw him kill our DBs on post all camp, and he did the same thing to Texas A&M in 2023. He has deep threat ability as well. So let's see more of these guys that you already have on campus, and then just add a player that is going to be a solid Restrepo, I'll say replacement, but offset some of Restrepo's production experience and ability to get open and catch the ball.
Right. Almost 2,000 live here, guys. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And, we're going to keep you guys updated all week, all month. It's going to be a crazy, crazy time here, as I'm sure we're going to have visits getting updated all the time. There's going to be some heartbreak in the portal. There always is, but I'm also sure that Miami's going to win some of these battles here that will make everyone pretty excited.
Yeah, almost up to 1,900, almost to 20. So, again, appreciate all you guys. This is the place to be to talk Canes. We're on every day. Chat's blowing up. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Don't forget, CanesInsight.com. I got some transfer portal news, by the way, about to drop right now. But before I talk about that, Pete, show them CanesInsight.com. Listen, if you guys are engaging in the videos and on social media, we appreciate you. You can engage like that all day in the most addictive Canes community on the planet. CanesInsight.com. There it is. It's free. You see the videos. You see the threads. Pete, click on one of those trending threads so people can see. Go ahead and click on that Darian Mensah thread. I did a little profile on him. So, I did a little story here. But as you can see, this thing's already got dozens of replies from Canes fans, talking Canes, sharing GIFs of excitement, of disappointment, just cracking jokes, breaking down the player, providing their own insight. It is nonstop Canes talk all times a day. You will get your post responded to. You can post something at 3 a.m. And if it's a cool post, people will start responding at 3 a.m. It is the spot. It's all free. CanesInsight.com. 7 million posts and counting. Sign up for our forums if you are part of this crew. We got almost 2,000 people on. It's absolutely insane. So I said I dropped some portal news. Arkansas safety TJ Metcalf. This is the cousin of DK Metcalf, NFL wide receiver, Ole Miss, Seattle Seahawks. You know DK. He's entered the portal. 57 tackles last year, 7 pass breakups, and 3 INTs. So an experienced safety enters the transfer portal. That is, whether you get all these guys or not, if you're in the DB market, you want supply. You want a lot of supply because that means other people are getting players. There's more options for you to choose from, and you're not going insane for just a couple guys that everybody wants. So every name with proven production that jumps into the portal at the defensive backfield, to me, is a very good thing, along, of course, with the quarterback position. More quarterbacks in the market, less spots. Jalen Milroe, I believe he on social media was suggesting that he'd be potentially coming back to Alabama. If that happens, you take Alabama out of the quarterback market. They have a young player as well that they might want to play. So all these things. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, he looks like he's going to be their guy in the playoffs. If he shows enough that he's their quarterback of the future, you take Georgia out of the quarterback market. So you want guys coming out of the quarterback market to make it a nice runway for the Miami Hurricanes for whoever they need. Right now, Oklahoma is looming with their new coordinator. Are they going to make a move on John Mateer? If he jumps in the portal, what's the timing of all that going to be? Those are the things I'm watching. But Auburn looks like they will be out of the market with Ashton Daniels. Caden Salter, who we've talked about, visiting Syracuse, also been linked to Colorado and FSU. All teams I think Miami should be able to top what they can do at the quarterback position. Syracuse, a really nice situation. That's probably where I'd go if I'm him. But Colorado, young quarterback, and Juju Lewis, is he going to play and be the starter? FSU just brought Gus Miles on. Are you going to go there if you're not a running quarterback? Is that a Thomas Castellanos spot, given what he can do on the ground? A lot of questions here with the portal, but I think the key for Miami is remaining the top dog, the best situation with the biggest budget to get the absolute best portal quarterback available.
Scuba Steve has been asking this question a few times. He says, are we expecting to lose any key players and major contributors from this year that will hurt?
I assume you're talking about guys that are going, not David Martinez going pro and something like that, but guys that would jump in the portal. You always lose someone that hurts a little bit. I don't foresee a huge one at the moment, but you never know. Just like we're monitoring other people monitoring our guys. There's ages involved. There's parents, family. There's a lot going on. So the safe answer is always yes. You always end up losing somebody. Am I anticipating someone right now that I'm worried about? No, but it's always possible. And it's always
you and I, D, we look at it a little differently too, because although the Washington brothers didn't play all that much this year, although Chris Johnson wasn't the guy that we were hoping for this year, we both believe that those guys are losses, right? Because they could be something, right? So to me, I look at those guys even more so than guys because if someone leaves that was a contributor for the team this year, it's most likely because it's not they won this year, right? So it's not like guys are leaving because it was a losing thing. It's because most likely they value themselves, and I say they, people in their camp, their agents value themselves at a higher number or level than Miami does NIL wise, and I just don't see too many situations like that popping up. I think that's kind of what happened with Colby Young last year.
Yeah,
and I can't really think of another situation like that from the roster last year, D. And will something like that come up? You know what? I'm sure it will, because that's the era that we're in, but I haven't heard anything imminently, at least.
That's what I was going to say exactly, is that Colby Young scenario. He was a player that was...
I don't think he was thinking about it, but then kind of was valuing himself at a different level than what Miami valued him at.
Exactly. And I think it worked out with number one offense in the country, even putting aside the off-the-field stuff with Colby Young. That is not the reason he left. That came up in Georgia. But Horton was the better player, more versatile, more juice, just a better talent, Isaiah Horton versus Colby Young. So you end up investing more in Isaiah Horton, getting Isaiah Horton more playing time. He rewarded you with a really good season on, again, the number one offense in the country. So could a situation like that develop? Possible for sure. And look, I've seen some mentioned rumors about Horton and Scott.
Yeah, Josh Horton or Isaiah Horton?
I think it's Isaiah Horton. There's always...
I haven't heard that with Horton.
I've heard it. Look, there's always stuff going on behind the scenes. Sometimes it's BS. Sometimes it's not BS, but it's doesn't lead to what you worry about happening, right? There's a lot of stuff that's happening at all times that you don't hear about because nothing happens at the end of the day. There's nothing that actually happens. It's just talk. It's just discussion. So I'm not going to say it's all a troll, but I don't see those situations getting out of control if they are real. So that's not something that's on my radar as something I'm losing sleep over. But this is college football in 2024. And by the way, it is December 9th. The portal's open. The portal is hot, but it is cold outside. So if you want to get some winter gear, you want to get some Christmas presents, some Hanukkah presents, some presents for whatever you want to give someone for, Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. If you are not local, if you are local, the Miami Hurricane Team Store right on US 1 across the street from the University of Miami. Use promo code INSIGHT20. You get 20% off your first item. This is Miami's official apparel store. So you want to support the team while also supporting yourself and getting yourself some cool gear, or getting your loved ones or your friends some cool gear. MiamiHTS.com. Promo code INSIGHT20. Works in store, works online. Look at all the great stuff. It is the holidays. Take care of your friends and family, or take care of yourself with the absolute latest from the Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. All right, Pete. So we got over 2,000. When was the last time we had over 2,000 besides signing day?
Yeah, we had it pretty recently. We had like 2,300 within the last month on one of these. I forget which one it was.
Oh, look, portal's hot. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Like and subscribe if you aren't already. CanesInsight.com, 7 million posts and counting. Portal is hot and heavy, so we're going to have a whole new list of names for you tomorrow as we talk about some potential Miami interests as they seek to improve their defensive backfield, their quarterback position, and so much more. Oh, right off the presses, Thomas Castellanos sets his visit to Florida State. So we talked about that earlier. That's a potential fit, which is, look, it's going to be annoying to play because you were dealing with a completely inept Florida State offense this year. Now you're dealing with an offense that at least has an identity. If you add Thomas Castellanos to Gus Malzahn and play that annoying style of ball, I think they still are a program that's going to be suffering, but they'll improve with that kind of move. Hopefully the attitude that allowed him to quit on his team at Boston College translates to Florida State, keep that bad culture flowing. But that's a move that I could see making sense. So again, like and subscribe to this podcast. We're going live. We're dealing with the portal, hot and heavy, recruiting the team as you get ready for the Pop-Tart Bowl. You name it. Appreciate everyone who hopped on. Go Canes.
Go Canes.